Welcome to Galaxy Tenants, an Earthbound podcast from the Milky Way galaxy. My name is Jay Picard, and co-producing this episode is my wife, Carly.
In this episode of Galaxy Tenants, we will feature a delicious salsa recipe, Jay's conversation with our friends from Canada about Canadian healthcare, their government's response to the COVID crisis, and their shared love of Element Music Festival. We'll also feature a track from Roosevelt Collier. Today we're going to be making salsa. For this recipe, you'll need 5 or 6 tomatoes, 2 jalapenos, an onion, a bushel of cilantro, and salt and pepper. To start, we'll roast the tomatoes over medium-high heat in a dry pan on the stove. While the tomatoes are roasting, you're going to cut the jalapenos in half and remove all the seeds. If you prefer your salsa a little bit hotter, feel free to leave the seeds in. Next, you'll add the jalapeno halves to the same pan that the tomatoes are roasting in. Next step is to chop your onion and a handful of cilantro. After about 7 to 10 minutes of roasting your tomatoes and jalapenos, you'll take them off the stove and place them into the container that you will be blending them in. After you've combined all of your ingredients into your container, add a 1/4 teaspoon of pepper and a 1/2 teaspoon of salt. Do not puree the salsa. Pulse for just a second or two to combine all the ingredients. The final step is to pour your salsa into a mason jar and store in the fridge. This recipe came highly recommended by my family, and we hope you enjoy. Now let's head to Vancouver, British Columbia for a conversation with Keith Duggan and Orlando Ekkert.
So I'm here with a couple of my friends, Keither and Orlando, or as I like to call them, the hoser ship of the North. How are things up in the Vancouver area right now with the whole COVID thing? Are people taking this pretty seriously, and are people out and about?
Yes and no. The beaches are pretty full, but while people are on the beaches, they are actually social distancing on the beach, staying the 6 feet away and stuff like that when they're meeting with friends and stuff. But for the most part, I think things have been going pretty good. I mean, we've got the best curve in Canada right now. So
you got a sweet curve, eh?
We got a sweet curve, yeah.
Well, I think one of the obviously there's people are getting a little antsy, but I think one of the things that I've noticed as a difference between Canadians and Americans is actually like listening to. We don't see our government as tyrannical, even though they do some shit that we don't agree with a lot of the time. It's still kind of supposed to be a partnership, so like we don't think they're lying to us. So right from the get-go, it was okay. They're figuring stuff out. It's like, okay, stay indoors. And just as time's passed, yeah, people will go out, but it's been pretty good as far as like definitely people social distancing, definitely people trying not to go out when they don't have to, though. Our health advisor basically said like getting some sun and exercise is actually good. So just sure, go out, get some health and exercise, get some sunshine, but keep your distance.
Go for a bike ride.
People are following instruction. and I haven't seen people starting to. We haven't had a bunch of protests.
We did have one. I think I had 14 people. Yeah.
Is that what they're calling those, protests?
Yeah.
Yeah, what's going on down here is absolute insanity with all these people. It's basically a Trump rally outside of the Capitals. And people just, I don't even know if they know what they're rallying for or against. It's a bunch of mindless fools, and it's terrible to watch because you know that the ripple effect is so much bigger than just impacting their direct group. Are you guys working at Current? Are you guys laid off, or how does that work? And I also want to talk about the way Canada is intending to take care of their citizens.
I can answer that. But Bob, I know both of us are not working. I actually got my CERB check today. My $2,000 for the month.
Was that direct deposited, or how does that work?
I did it over the phone, so it's mailed. So it took 10 business days. And I mean, I had some money saved up, so I wasn't too worried about needing it right away. But yeah, I got mine today.
I got laid off right at the very start, like 3 days before they told everybody that they were going to shift everybody from EI to CERB.
What are those? What is EI and what is CERB?
EI is employment insurance. Unlike you guys calling it unemployment insurance, here it's called employment insurance. You're insured because you were employed. Kind of small difference. CERB, what is
Canadian Emergency Relief Fund?
No, that would be an F.
All right, deposit. Benefit.
There we go.
There you go.
B, benefit.
B, right.
Canadian Emergency Response Benefit.
Yeah.
So I got my EI in, and then like 3 days later, basically the government said that everybody, if you've been approved for EI, don't apply for the CERB, but they're just going to move everything from EI to CERB. So CERB is basically, it's not everybody. There's some holes, and I know they're trying to fix some of the holes right now. But for the most part, it's until this thing passes over, people get $2,000 a month.
How do you feel about that?
I think it makes it a lot easier to stay home.
Yeah.
And like have food and pay rent. And so it's not like, there hasn't been rent. Has there been rent freezes?
No,
there hasn't been rent freezes.
Yes, I thought there was in BC, no?
So a third of Americans did not pay rent in the month of April so far.
Yeah, I read that.
Yeah.
Pretty crazy.
I think the thing here was, I haven't seen anything on rent. I know they're not allowed to raise rent, but I haven't seen anything on rent freezes because they're giving everybody $2,000 a month.
Yeah, it's assumed, I think, that that should be able to continue those rent payments.
And it's not per household, it's per person.
Right.
So it's like pay your rent, pay your bills. Just keep the economy going. Basically the federal government is backing it. They're bankrolling us.
Wow, must be nice.
Per employed, Tina's brought up, it's per employed person.
Yeah.
So if you lost your job due to COVID, then you get your CERB check.
So if you were unemployed prior, or if your employment was not affected by this, you don't get the $2,000 a month, or do you?
I believe that's one of the loopholes or one of the problems that they're trying to fix.
Okay.
Right now,
I see.
Because that's where some of the people have fallen through the cracks. So I believe they are working on fixing that as well.
America's like one big crack.
Yeah. Because, I mean, they rolled out the CERB pretty much right at the beginning in March. And you were first able to apply for it the first week of April.
Yeah, April 6th, I think.
Yeah, April 6th. So they did an emergency legislation for that. And now they're trying to fix the spots where, okay, these people didn't get covered or these people didn't get covered. So that's what they're working on now.
In my country, we're supposed to get $1,200 per person. That was delayed, I believe, because Trump's signature was added to the checks as well.
In the memo line.
Yeah. And I do believe banks and creditors get first dibs on that in the States.
In some cases, I think you're right. And I think that some people won't even receive those checks for upwards of 4 to 6 months, they were saying.
Wow.
I know Well, I know because I have 1099s included in my filings that we did not get a direct deposit. And when I go to the website to check, it says status unavailable and has for just over a week now. So it'll be interesting to see if and when I get any sort of benefits.
Yeah. Like a one-time $1,200 check was like nowhere near enough to begin with. And
what is that supposed to cover? That doesn't touch my rent, let alone any sort of groceries and everything else above and beyond that. I mean, I did want to talk to you guys about your health care up there, which I hear is very, very scary. Our government tells us how terrifying, terrifying your health care is. Yeah, it's very terrifying. I hear it's scary, and I hear about the death panels and how you guys exterminate old people, and it sounds really scary. Tell me about your experiences with the Canadian healthcare system.
Well, I both me and Keith have some great stories, but I mean, I was recently in the ICU for an entire week, and
Orlando's freaking pacemaker.
Yeah, I had a botched surgery, which didn't cost me anything. It was super terrifying, but they did nick an artery during my surgery, and they fixed that, but I was fine. They fixed that, but I had ended up getting an infection, and I had fluid in my chest cavity, and so I was in the ICU for a good week and they put me on ketamine. Not really. I attacked my nurse, thinking they were an Incan warrior trying to kill me.
Oh,
yeah.
That sounds heavy.
It's some hospital grade.
Some hospital grade K.
How much did all that cost you?
Nothing.
Oh. Yeah. In my country, you would lose your home for that.
Yeah.
What are your experiences, Keith?
Well, I've, as you know, been an athlete, a robust athlete now, but an athlete nonetheless.
You're using that term very loosely.
Yeah. I don't know. Let's see. Broken ankle, torn knee ligaments, had to have an appendectomy, couple of broken arms, couple of broken wrists, dislocated shoulder. I've probably gone in for major surgery 10 times. And I haven't paid for it once, not a penny. I mean, yeah, we pay with our taxes, but I've actually looked at, people like you, friends and family down south, and in our bracket, like how much we make in a year, my taxes and your taxes are about the same. So it's really just where the tax is being spent. Now, I know that one of the things that's like emergency care, like immediate care in our system, it's awesome. Like you get hurt and you need surgery, like you get taken care of right away. Long-term care, not elective, just long-term. It's better because you're not having to pay for it. It's covered, but certain things that aren't, if it's not an emergency and you can wait, you're going to wait because it's basically based on need, right? The death panels, that's horse shit. It's just like, it's a harder thing with like universal single payer to manage the long-term care than it is to deal with something on the spot and get it taken care of and get you out. Get you fixed and send you home.
I don't know how functional our system is at all. Carly recently had a surgery, and we were given an estimate of cost, and it was, when we got the bill, it was over twice the estimated cost. And nothing went wrong. Nothing was particular out of line in the surgery. They just decided to charge us twice as much as they told us beforehand. So, yeah, I mean, the system for us is absolutely broken. And America has time and time again denied a single payer system. And again, with Bernie Sanders departing from the primary for president of the United States. So I'm wondering what's next for the United States. Obviously, you guys don't have an answer for that, but I do want to. The reason I wanted to talk about the healthcare thing is so that when folks down here listen, that they hear that it's not this terrifying thing that our government makes it out to be, where we're supposed to protect corporations and insurance companies and
I'll say even here, like the conservative government, and we've had lots of conservative governments. Basically, it goes conservative, liberal, a lot like yours. Our Social Democratic Party, the NDP, they've never governed. You know, they're always there because we have parliament, and so they get their voices heard, and we have minority government. We have a different system than you guys, right? But even the conservatives know that talking about privatizing healthcare, yeah, that's a political loser. That's like put the noose around your own neck.
I wonder how it is that we're so close regionally and share a border, yet it's the exact opposite approach in this country.
You guys, your Congress is owned. We have like heavy regulation on lobbying.
Yeah.
Our Liberal government a couple years ago, two administrations ago, they got caught taking money from lobbyists, and they were like, no, it's not lobbying, it's sponsorship. It was called the sponsorship scandal, and they went from a majority government to 11 seats in parliament. They got completely wiped out.
Yeah.
Because people were like, no, you don't get to take money from business. Not above like what the limit is, and I think the maximum donation it's not very high.
Like in the thousands of dollars, not hundreds of thousands, or even tens of thousands.
Yeah, no super PACs, none of that. Even our election cycle, you're not even allowed. It's 11 weeks long. Like, okay, we're calling an election.
Yeah.
You have 11 weeks to campaign. We have our election.
It's over.
And it's over.
Our campaign started the day the oath was taken for Trump to be in office. He started campaigning.
It started earlier. It started the day after. It started November 9th. It's like I'm campaigning for the next one. Yeah, so I guess Tina made a really great point. The cost of insulin. Like down south, this is the pharmaceutical costs. We don't have a great pharmacare program, but we have a pharmacare program. And the New Democrats, one of the things they ran on, and that's our party, the Social Democratic Party, because we're lefties.
Yeah.
They were running on a national pharmacare program to cover meds, right?
Yeah.
Add that to the healthcare program. But still, the cost of insulin down there, people rationing insulin, like that's messed up, dude.
Yeah.
That's how people die.
And they have, yeah.
And the cost of insulin here, babe, what is the cost of insulin here for like a month's supply?
How much? Can you repeat it?
Free for the long-acting insulin is covered under pharmacare, the pharmacare program we do have, and the rapid is $37
a month
for a month.
I know that things were getting out of hand down here, so in some states actually capped what insulin costs could be.
Yeah.
You know, rightfully so.
The way
it works here is the government actually limit what people can put the price on it here, and they actually actively negotiate pricing for the public.
Weird, they're looking out for the public.
Yeah, right.
That's your
doesn't happen all the time, but
socialists.
Yeah.
It's funny, Justin. One of the things that I actually like about the American system that might prove to be beneficial is the fact that you guys are a republic and the states have so much power, so that, like, and it happened here too. Before single payer passed nationally, Saskatchewan passed it. A province did the test run, and we're like, Tommy Douglas, who's Kiefer Sutherland's grandpa, he was the guy who started the New Democratic Party. He was the premier of Saskatchewan, and you know, the business interests were like, this will never work. This will never work. And he was like, you know what? Screw you guys. I'm going to do this in Saskatchewan. And it worked. And it saved the province tons of money. And everybody was covered. And he was like, see? And so they went national with it. And then Pierre Trudeau, Justin's dad, stole the idea and put it on his platform. And the Liberals ended up winning the government on an idea from the New Democrats. But That's the thing. If you want to see single payer actually happen in the U.S., just like cannabis legalization, some state is going to have to pass it.
But I didn't
and show that
California
and show that it works. No, California. That's the thing, is there's so much billions of dollars in ads get spent against it. Vermont couldn't even pass it, and that's Bernie's home state. Now he's a senator, not a governor, but a couple of states have tried to pass some form of single payer. I know Vermont was one of them. I think Colorado tried, and I think California tried, but just the fear mongering, the money that gets spent, and the fear mongering that happens. But I don't know. After this COVID thing, maybe
not.
hey, we have hope for you guys. It's
Thank
just
you.
a little bit, but
Thoughts and prayers. Thank you.
thoughts and prayers, exactly.
I don't know. It's insane. It's insane to me that the only guy campaigning on single payer, that to us that's like the obvious choice, and it shouldn't have even been close. That issue alone should be enough to be like, yes, because every other country has it.
Americans, well, every other developed nation, yeah. Americans, one of the things that we're really proud of and that we really love to do, it's almost like our national pastime. It's voting against our own interests. We love to go to the polls and really stick it to ourselves every fucking 4 years, you know.
You're really good at it.
Yeah, it's been practiced, so yeah, we take it really seriously.
You're definitely number one on that.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, we do have to protect the little guys, and by little guys, I mean the big guys like corporations and banks. So yeah, priorities. All right, let's shift gears away from politics and get into some fun stuff. I want to talk a little bit about how we met, and there was a music festival being held at a beautiful place called Snug Lake Amphitheater in British Columbia, Canada, and these two hosers were on the team. And I was brought in, and I remember cruising down the road. Was it the 5A coming from Princeton to Snug Lake?
Oh, it started before that, Justin, because in 2016, when we booked Genetics to be our headliner, and I was dealing with Irwin, you were like this Papa Bear that I had to get on the phone with. Because I don't know, Joel and Jeff were like, yeah, man, we're going to BC and we're playing this festival. So it was like I had to like get through you as some sort of strange gatekeeper. And I was like, who is this guy? This isn't the agent I'm doing business with. Is this the manager?
I think that's what they called me. I think they referred to me as the manager. But somebody had to be organized and at least look over logistics and numbers. And, you know, outside of the offer, too, you're dealing with a band of guys who are good at music and maybe not some of the other things like travel and booking, things like that. So gatekeeper, no. Papa Bear, maybe. So that's how we met. But the following year, I remember flying from Denver to Washington and catching a puddle jumper I landed in Bellingham the first year and drove in. I remember coming down the 5A with you, just cranking music and flying in. And then I remember the following day, Orlando showing up when the sun came up the following day. And Orlando, you were riding on the hood of a car that was coming ripping down the road, I believe. You had a beer in your hand.
With the McHosertons.
Ah, that's right. Yeah, what a great first meeting of all those people. So I wanted to say, number one, some of my favorite people in the world I've met up at Snug Lake, and you guys are definitely two of them. What are some of your favorite things about Snug Lake and Element Music Festival and being a part of that whole scene?
Family vibe. One is the biggest thing. I mean, it's basically a family-run business. All extended family, of course. But I mean, yeah, it's been great working with Keith and eventually you, but also with Rob and the others, building something from scratch. Like basically taking a property and doing everything from the beginning.
For me, everything. The site.
Yeah.
You know, being way up in the mountains, it's absolutely gorgeous. No neighbors, no strict sort of rules, music, people. I mean, it's pretty much, you know, when you aren't thinking about the economics, it's pretty much a perfect situation for a festival. And the people running it and the people performing there and everybody contributing, it's and the minute I walked onto that site the very first time when Rob was like, yeah, you need to get up here.
Yeah.
It was like, yeah.
Yeah, that first time seeing it, because we showed up at night, and when we woke up in the morning, it was Rob's like,
yeah,
look at this.
I can relate to that. When I rolled in, there was a raging thunder and lightning storm. I don't know if you remember that night, Keith, but we sat in the lodge around the table with a couple of other Americans that had come up to pitch you guys, and Bruce was there, and a handful of people. But I just remember seeing the night sky flash and light up, just showing me little pieces of the concert field or the other house or whatever it was. And then I remember the next day, like you said, Rob was kind of like, so here it is, and you can kind of take it all in. And it's one of the most beautiful sites. I think it was 157 acres, or
that's right.
Yeah, beautiful. And where's it located for folks who don't know?
It's basically
Pike Mountain.
Yeah, it's halfway between Merritt, BC, and Princeton, BC. Princeton's the closest town, grocery shopping, liquor buying, etc.
What a great town.
Yeah.
About 4 hours east of Vancouver as far as the closest like major city.
I've done it in 3.
What did you say, Orlando?
I said I've done it in 3.
And this is why I generally don't drive with Orlando.
Are you still driving that mustard car?
No,
yellow?
I got an SUV now.
Oh, good.
Yeah, I got a Acura MDX in August, end of August.
Right on. During the pandemic here, what's the thing that you guys have missed most in Canada? Do you guys have access to poutine and other essentials, or what do you miss most?
Pretty much most restaurants and bars are open for takeout and stuff like that. So takeout, delivery, most of them, not all of them. So you can pretty much order whatever you want for food.
How's the kokanee supply line?
I stopped drinking kokanee.
Oh,
yeah,
what are you drinking now?
Maybe I'll crack a beer.
Orlando's upgraded to PBR.
I've never heard it put that way.
Then again, you know what? I've downgraded to Butt Wiper.
Oh, you're drinking Budweiser?
I am drinking Budweiser. I don't know what it is. I enjoyed it very much when I was young, and then I was like, no. And I don't know. When it's really, really cold, it's actually kind of good. And our Budweiser is different than yours. It's brewed here.
Nice. What time is it there? Let's see. Oh, okay. It's almost noon.
12. Almost 12.
I started drinking today at 9. Yesterday, Rich Dennis, or as Keither and I affectionately call him, Dick Denis, sent us a care package from a nearby Creole place that included Bloody Marys and vodka. It was the first time I've ever had alcohol delivered to me, which is pretty special, but there were some leftovers.
Yeah, we can have that delivered to us as well.
That's great. I hope that's something that sticks after the pandemic, that we can continue this.
It was always there.
It was always there.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. Canada sounds like a true paradise to me.
Yeah. The biggest thing missing. Luckily, we have a household of 5 people in the house, so we actually get to live with some friends and stuff. But that's the biggest thing, is not being able to go out and visit friends and stuff like that. I managed to see. I actually went and saw the McCosertons a couple of days ago. Just said, come down. I'm driving by. Come downstairs. Let's say hi. They are 6 feet away.
Were they on mushrooms?
Jay, no, they were not. Jay was drinking. It was 10 o'clock in the morning, and Jay was drinking straight vodka.
Jay was breathing.
Yeah.
Jay was drinking.
Yeah.
I adore that family.
Yeah.
I'm really missing live music, man.
Mm-hmm.
And just people in general, seeing people, because you know me, I'm a huge introvert.
Yeah. Same.
And No, I don't know. It's just like I said, we've gone out for some walks and stuff like that, and we've gone out. We have a thing where we're like curbing, where you basically go outside, sit on your curb, and our neighbors sit on their curbs and have some drinks, and you can use music playing and stuff like that. So as long as everybody keeps their distance, we see our neighbors. I have a couple of conversations every day with the neighbors and whatnot. So there's that. But yeah, the limiting of freedom is it's not that bad, but it'd be great when it's gone.
Hashtag urban to COVID.
I thought you were going to say hockey, Keith.
Yeah, I'm definitely missing hockey. Mostly the not knowing when it's coming back, if it's coming back. Our season got cut. We had one game left before one game and then playoffs.
No. Oh no, for you.
Me,
yeah.
my
your hockey.
I prefer playing hockey even more than watching it.
I would say one positive to the NHL not happening right now is that you don't have to watch Vancouver lose another fucking game for the time being.
Well, you know what? We probably wouldn't have to watch them lose too many games anyways, because we're coming back on again.
Yeah.
Right on.
This is the team. This is the team that's going to win the Stanley Cup.
Yeah.
And then there's a pandemic.
Well, we didn't say this year.
Right. It's funny. They're trying to get their club to a manageable point, and there's a global pandemic.
Yeah.
Yeah, that sounds about right.
Yeah.
We should riot.
Yeah.
If we do riot, it would be about hockey.
Yeah, we only have hockey-based riots here.
I just can't imagine the amount of apologies that would be happening at those riots. Sorry. Anything else you guys want to mention? And here's what I would say too. Would you guys come back on with us in the future down the road if we wanted to do an update? I'd like to check back in with you and see how things are going up in the north as things are progressing throughout this pandemic.
I don't know. My calendar is pretty full. I'll have to get back to you on that one.
Let's see. Up next, Monday at noon, hosing around.
That's about the gist of it. I don't know, dude. I might be watching a documentary.
I've watched so many documentaries. Oh my God.
Have you guys heard down there about our mass shooting yesterday?
I did hear about that. Yeah. Well, I heard it was it the largest in your country?
Yeah, largest in Canadian history. 19 people, including the killer. So it's such a small world that like people I know here all the way across the country know people that were killed.
Canada's not very big population-wise, so
we have a smaller population than California.
That sounds nice, especially given the amount of space up there. Kind of like that.
Bigger country than the U.S., smaller population than California. Yeah, no, I was out in Nova Scotia, and everybody in the Maritimes all know each other.
Right.
Yeah.
What was the motivation, or did they say what the reason was for it?
They don't know that yet. The guy was all they really know so far is he was a dentist.
No,
he had
a denture.
He made dentures for people. But he had a hobby of rebuilding and restoring old police cars, and so when he went on this rampage, it was about a 12-hour thing before they finally got him. And it spanned like 100 kilometers. And he was driving a police car and wearing a police uniform, so people didn't know they were in trouble, and because they were thinking he was a cop. And that's really all they've said so far.
How often do you guys have gun crimes in your country? How often are there shootings?
Mass shootings?
Not very often.
Yeah, that's like.
I mean,
I can't even remember the last one.
I mean, the record for the largest shooting previous to this was what? Montreal, right? What year was that?
Oh, the
Polytechnic.
The Polytechnic.
That was in the 80s.
What do you call those? What's that group of the guys who can't get laid and they blame it on women?
Republicans?
No. There's
incels.
Incel. incels, involuntarily celibate.
Huh.
There's some online group, they call themselves incels. It's involuntary celibacy, i.e. dudes who can't get laid. There was some dude who shot up the Montreal Polytechnic Institute. That was in the 90s?
89.
89. Yeah. So that's the last mass shooting was 1989. And now, yesterday?
Yesterday. I mean, we've had like a couple of shootings where a couple people and stuff like that. But yeah, mass shooting. But what is that, like 30 years now? Almost, no. Yeah, 30 years.
It's 31. 30,
March was the first month for the United States, I think, without a school shooting since, I think it was 02 or something.
I know, like, apparently we have as much gun ownership as you guys, like per capita.
Okay.
Per capita. Like, we obviously, there's not as many guns, but per capita gun ownership, we have as many guns as we have gun ownership.
Actually, I believe it's higher. I think it's actually higher in Canada.
It's basically on par with you guys.
Yeah, if you start counting none of it in the polar bears and stuff, I'm sure that really pushes it up.
But I do know it's not all that difficult. There's a process here, but you got to go through it. Like, you got to apply for a license.
Yeah.
You got to actually have some training and pass a test.
Interesting.
Kind of like driving a car.
Yeah.
Huh.
Our gun stuff is basically like car stuff. Apply
so
for
there's actually a process then.
Yeah, you have to pass a written test. Then you have to pass a
physical test,
an operational test. Then you get your license. So now you can buy a gun. Then you go to buy a gun, and you got to wait, I don't know, 4 or 5 days before you can actually get your gun. So if you're angry and you go to buy it, you got to wait a couple of days. So maybe you're no longer angry.
Yeah. And if you transferred a gun from your home to somewhere else, you have to apply for a travel permit.
Ah, interesting. Here in America, you have to have hands.
Yeah.
and a wallet.
True. Yeah, true.
Actually, no, you could just order it online. You don't even need a wallet.
Yeah.
I saw a story recently about a blind guy in the South who bought a gun. No problem selling it to him.
Yeah, that was a little while ago, right?
Oh, the South.
Yeah.
Thank you guys for taking the time to do this. I'll circle back with you in the coming months, and we'll do this again, and we'll talk about some different things, get some updates, and I hope you guys are both being safe up there. Hope everybody else is doing well, and send my regards to the rest of the Canadians.
Will do.
Right on, brother.
We leave you with Roosevelt Collier performing Spike off of his album Exit 16.
And tune into episode 7 where we'll have a meal with Roosevelt.